There were moments where I just didn't want to be there anymore. You just hate yourself for giving up. You've had these plans and then you are the reason that they didn't work out. I just got back from a job interview and it was terrifying because the goal is complete freedom. And he tried to offer $10 an hour. Even though I have experience, I have years of customer service experience and was a trainer, a job that pays $14 an hour and I have to leave at 1, 2 a.m. sometimes is something that I would have never even considered a bit ago. And then I realized I don't have any other offers. I literally have been applying for probably months now, and I just feel like I'm disappointing the girl who started this. The ambitious, bright-eyed girl that thought that by this point I would be well on my way to that freedom, that I would be so much closer to that freedom. And it sucks. Because I tell myself, I'm strong, I'm resilient, I can do anything. And old me put in so much work and I just didn't cross the finish line. I started a YouTube channel, I monetized it, and then I realized I hated it. I got a remote job, which is great. I'm so lucky, I'm so lucky. And then the hours reduced on that, so I'm back to making no money. I tried to start an in-person thing and I realized I don't like that either. And I know that growth and this journey is about failure, I know. But the failure fucking sucks when you've been going for so long because you feel like you're disappointing yourself and you're letting yourself down. And that is such a hard feeling because it's reinforcing those negative thoughts in your head that you've been trying to fight for so long. And it sucks because the reinforcement isn't even necessarily all invalid. I want to believe these positive things about myself. Yes, so point, I am resilient, I am strong. But then that part of I can do anything I want is, it gets hard to believe when you've had these plans and then you are the reason that they didn't work out. I'm the reason because I quit the channel and I got comfortable with that remote job and I forgot that the goal wasn't to be working for someone else because that is so futile. It was to create my own thing and I got comfortable and I sat there and I let myself down. And here I am going back to retail and $10 an hour job. The negative thoughts aren't even necessarily thoughts, they're just feelings. I don't feel not good enough is the thing. I know I'm good enough because I've seen what I can do when I've seen what I can do when I work hard. I've seen what I can do when I keep going. I'm just sad because despite being able to do hard things, I've just let myself down and now I'm dealing with the consequences of that and I've set myself back. And it's all my fault. And I hope there's someone out there who understands where I'm coming from. And I hope there's someone out there who's been through this and can tell me that it'll all be okay. Hi, this is me literally like 15-20 minutes after that. I've had a snack and calmed down a bit. I think it's really easy to catastrophize, especially if you've grown up around poverty, honestly. Especially if you've grown up seeing people you love, people you care about struggle with money. That's what I experienced, seeing my mom struggle with money, not being able to spend time with us the way she wanted, not being in control of her time, always looking stressed and tired, and knowing my entire childhood, there's no way I'm ever going to end up like that. And as a child, I just thought, as an adult, I would be better. I knew that as an adult, I would be better. So at 17, 16, I started working hard so that I could get to the point where I didn't have to rely on other people making a schedule for me and being tied to what other people wanted of me. I feel like you understand, on your self-improvement journey, you want to get to a point where you're great. Once you start, you're right here, you want to get to right here, but you put in so much work to get to here. And sometimes you want to relax, you want to take a breather, and then you just stay here. You know that here would be so much better, but it's like, it feels good enough. And you're good with good enough. And once good enough isn't good enough anymore, once you realize why good enough is not where you want it to be, you know that you betrayed your old self. And dealing with the consequences of that, it's just so much guilt and shame and heartbreak, and it's so hard. I know that I'm young in the grand scheme of things. Saying that though makes me feel anxious. The whole I'm young, I have time thing because that's how time goes by. Dog, I was young at 17 when I monetized that YouTube channel, and I thought 18 was gonna be my year. I was finally gonna be an adult. Oh my gosh, you guys get this? If you are people who grew up ambitious and you were a child but you had financial responsibilities and you wanted to be 18, because then I had control over my money. I could get whatever job I wanted. I couldn't be held back by my age any longer because there's so many opportunities that I couldn't get till I was 18. I couldn't open a high yield savings account by myself. I had to use my mom. I couldn't invest by myself. I just felt trapped. And 18 was my year. I was going to do everything, and I was going to set up myself to become rich by the time I was 19, 20, 21. I have a whole board in my room of what I was going to do. And then I got to 18. And I enjoyed the benefits of what younger me did. And I have not been putting in as much effort as I should have. I plateaued. That's just the honest truth. I plateaued. Granted, I did try things. It's not like I just didn't do anything. I ran my first 5K. I started trying to host events in person. I tried to make a study with me channel that I gave up on in a month or two. And I was quite frankly ignoring the bigger goals because I knew how hard it would be. And I routinely had thought to myself, how did I do this? How did I do the hard things for so long, so consistently to even get myself to this point? This point being, I was 300 pounds, now I'm like 207. This point being, I was working as a hostess or a barista with no other source of income, and then I monetized the YouTube channel. Granted, I didn't make much money from it. This point being, I had no skills in marketing whatsoever, and in a couple of months, I got a remote marketing internship. And you know what I mean? I just look back and I'm like, how did I do this? I guess I know how I did it though. I researched and I had a plan in mind, and I showed up. Even if I didn't show up every day, I showed up enough in order to make a difference. And it's scary. It's so scary to think that I have to do that again, because I'm not gonna lie, it was miserable for a lot of it, because so many habits that I relied on, the bad habits I had to not do, and I didn't know what to do. There were moments where I just didn't want to be there anymore. And I thought that was suicidal ideation. But then I went on a hike and I realized that not being there anymore was just calmness. When you're standing next to a stream and you're just listening to the water, there are no cars, there are no people. That's what I meant. I described it as wanting to be at the bottom of a pool, because it just felt like I had to do so much constantly. And I think my brain remembers that. And I think when I got to the point where I had the remote job, then I was good enough. I didn't want to keep fighting. I didn't want to keep going. The whole point of me doing all that was to get comfortable and be in control more. And it wasn't the amount of control that I wanted, but it was more than I had. And I think I obviously know what I have to do, right? I'm posting on this channel, so I'm doing something. I feel like you know what I mean, though. Getting to a point where it's good enough, and then once you realize why you wanted to go further, you just hate yourself for giving up, and for it feels like you just messed up what someone else was doing. It feels like someone else ran a marathon and then passed you the baton, and you just stayed in place because you know how hard they worked to get there. You know how miserable it might have been for them, and so you just don't want to keep going to the finish line. And you just can't stay stuck there, dude. You can't, because you put in so much work. You had so many goals, so many ambitions. You can't let yourself down. I'm telling you right now, you have to keep going. I know it's hard. I know it's so scary. I understand. I feel the exact same fear, but we can do this together, right? I will be honestly telling you guys and documenting how this feels and giving tips on it with positive psychology, and we can get through this. I'm saying it like that because that was hard to say because it's just so scary. But it would be really nice to have a community to do this with. So if you relate to literally anything here, anything, let's talk in the comments. Tell me your story. Let's just take a deep breath and carry on with our journey.